Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to the Epidemic. My name is Narb, and today we're going to talk about some of the very basic elements to a competitive map. This is a new series that we're going to be having every week, usually on Saturday, and pretty much what we're going to talk about is map design and just tips and stuff like that that can help you become a better forger. So I wanted to go over some of the very basic components of map flow and how it can affect your gameplay. So if you're just starting out with forging like this, then pay attention. Alright, so map flow is a very commonly used phrase that people like to say when judging your map. Yeah, this map has great flow, or I just didn't really feel the flow on this map. And if that's something that you hear a lot, then you might be designing your map incorrectly. The very basic competitive map design follows a circular pattern. Just take a look at any of your favorite maps like Guardian, Haven, the Pit, Midship. All of these maps follow a very basic circular landscape. And I'm not trying to say that any of these maps are perfect circles, but you could draw a circular guideline inside of them. However, flow is not solely determined by the imaginary circle. When designing your map, it is important to also include control points. Control points are areas of the map that usually offer low risk, high reward benefits. So pretty much anything like height advantage, sightlines, or just anything that makes it feel more dominant. The purpose of these areas is to make them desirable. Therefore, players will want to go towards them. If you can make that happen, then you have also created flow. You are controlling the traffic of both teams to make them go where you want them to go. That is how you can control the way your map flows. If you start creating your map and begin to notice that it's becoming more of a line shape rather than a circular shape, then you might want to consider using teleporters or man cannons in certain areas. This is going to help players travel in a less linear type of direction. However, don't go too crazy with these. Teleporters and man cannons should always be used with limitation. Walking needs to be the #1 source of transportation on any competitive map. Walking provides a player with a more stable and smooth type of movement, and this is especially important when you become engaged in a combat situation. Alright, so now that you've created your control points and have a basic layout, it's time to start creating routes to these areas. Normally, any point of interest on a map should have 2 to 3 solid paths to get there. A solid path meaning something like a ramp or a walkway, anything obvious. If you have a lot of rooms that have very predictable entrances, then you're going to see some gameplay issues. A good example of how not to do this is the sword room on the Pit in Halo 3. First of all, the sword room has one entrance, which immediately breaks the rules. But not only that, it also provides you with a close quarters power weapon. So it makes the area super campable. This was such an issue that when they remade the Pit in Halo 4, they had to add a whole nother path to get inside, and I'm pretty sure that was a man cannon. So let's take this room for example. Right now there are only 2 entrances into this room. You could get away with this, but if somebody were to get something like a shotgun or a sword, it would be pretty easy to lock down this area. This would eventually just turn into camping. Now let's add another door. This one little change makes all the difference. Now that there's a sight line from every direction, it is impossible to keep your eye on everything. And that's essentially what you want to achieve. As long as you keep these basic principles in mind, you should see significant improvement in your gameplay. So go around and look at other people's maps and try to learn from them, especially the ones that we feature here on the channel. So there you go. Hopefully you learned a little bit of something from this design talk, but next week I want to go over either weapons or verticality. So if you have a preference, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the near future.